To end this little talk here, China is now, in the game here. And if I had more time, I could talk a lot. I was a foreign correspondent in China. I was there in Tiananmen Square, all that kind of stuff. I know a lot about China. But I will say this about that in AI. There are two AI superpowers in the world right now, only two. And it's the US and it's China. And they have very different ways of thinking about AI. China wasn't even in the game until about 2015, but basically they started throwing themselves at supercomputers, which is essentially another proxy for AI and kind of the advanced computing. And that's the US, they're kind of giving up some space there. Chip manufacturing, you saw a lot of stuff about this. This again has started since the turn of the 20 years ago here. We're kind of neck and neck on that, and we're clawing back some of that because it's a kind of vulnerability. And I would say this matters because AI, this powerful new tool that basically is the foundational tool of the, for centuries spent. There is one way to use it. If you use it for totalitarian kind of top-down kind of way of doing it, that could really be a kind of one kind of world. And then you could do it in a kind of what I would say is more the US and the Western version, which is a little crazier, but it's kind of bottom-up approach. It gets nutty, it gets crazy. People kind of, all the stuff that's happening in our politics now. But it's an open, a process I think is healthier. And so I would just but I'm an optimist here, I want to say. I don't think we're necessarily going to go into a necessary Cold War there, but I would put this out there. It's going to be a big, interesting next 25 years here. I believe it's going to be a positive thing. I believe we're going to see this great era of progression. I think we're going to basically watch the early days. Remember, this is the earliest days. This is the dumbest you're ever going to see AI is right today, and it's going to get better tomorrow, and it's going to be twice really good in a year, and in 10 years it's going to be even amazing. So anyhow, the point is we're just starting this AI age. We're just starting this clean energy age. Once we get abundant, vastly abundant, cheap, clean energy, you can do a crazy amount of stuff with basic, clean, abundant energy, with no thinking, it's going to screw the planet up, which is coming. And then we're going to actually get to this point where we can bioengineer a much more sustainable world, I would argue. And so I think we're going to make the transition from that world, which is kind of running, kind of falling apart at some level, or kind of seen its day, better days, did a lot of great stuff. And I think we're going to basically watch this thing kind of take some kind of sense of kind of what's going to come, basically, whereas we figure this thing out on the fly. How does this all work? And I think people in 50, 100, 1,000 years from now, they're going to look back and say, early that kind of 20th, first century, that's when they finally figured out AI. That's when they broke their threshold and kind of figured out AI. And then they're going to say, that's when they finally figured out how to do kind of clean energy so that they could just make super amounts of clean energy and didn't kind of blow up the planet. And they're going to say, that's when they started to bioengineer life, which is kind of how we still do things now, and it all works and we're all in sync with nature. And they'll say, wouldn't that be amazing to have been back at that time, in that early, let's say 2025 to 2050? Wouldn't it have been an amazing thing to live at that life and be part of what's that great progression? And I'll say to you folks here, folks, you are here. It is now, and in fact, let's make the most of this moment, and you folks are playing a big role in this. And so I'd say for the kickoff, your basically conference here is go nuts, everybody. So thank you for this. And this is how to get a hold of me. Through my websites, my company website. And here's the last thing I'll just say is I write a Substack, which is getting to be the real intellectual hive out there. You can find me on Substack, and I write it under the Great Progression, and I'm going to be doing a book version of this, I think, coming in 2025. So if you're really interested in these ideas, follow me.